I might have just replaced your bookkeeper. So meet Thuita Finance, which is my WhatsApp AI agent that tracks my income and expenses. So a quick start, I say hello, it tells me what it can do and requests for consent. I say let's go, asks for my name, I type it out, Mike in this case. Then it asks what best describes my work. I'll say a business owner. Then from there, I'm all set. So that's basically the onboarding process. From here, I can pick a receipt from my gallery, drop it in the chat, and in a few, I'll get to see got your receipts and get the response 590 shillings logged, which was an expense I had at Textbook Center. I go back to my gallery, select 3 receipts in this case just to see how it's going to handle it. I drop the 3 receipts. Then in a few seconds, once again, I'll get got your receipts, and all 3 are going to be processed at a go. Something nice also is I can easily ask what are my recent expenses, and I'll get a response of all the expenses I've had recently. I could also ask what I have spent in a specific month. So in this case, I can ask what have I spent in the month of March, and it's more or less going to do a quick summary of the expenses I have had in March. So the big question is, how does this compare to the bookkeeper you'd actually hire? So normally for a bookkeeper, you'd spend anywhere between 15,000 to 40,000 shillings a month. With the WhatsApp AI agent, this is basically free, at least for the starter part. When it comes to the processing of receipts, if it takes a bookkeeper 1 to 3 minutes to process a single receipt, for the agent, it takes less than 5 seconds, which is a very big improvement. For a bookkeeper, we more or less work within the constraints of working hours, so the 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 depending on where you're at. But for the agent, it doesn't matter if you had an expense at 2 a.m. in the night, it's always going to be active 24/7, 365 days a year. For the bookkeeper, for them to generate a proper, let's say, yearly report, it will take them maybe 3 to 5 days for them to compile everything. With the agent, it's just a single request and you get a very well generated auditable report in under 15 seconds. In terms of monthly costs, we're looking at 90 to 100% cost reduction, because again, you're not having someone full-time for this specific function. When it comes to the receipts processed per hour, we have a higher throughput for the sole reason that receipts can be processed concurrently. So it means you can upload 20 receipts at once and the agent is more or less going to process all that at a go. In terms of data entry accuracy, we're looking at a 99% accuracy. I am testing this with multiple variations of receipts to ensure that we get to capture the data as is on the receipt. In case you're wondering what's under the hood, I've managed to simplify this process so that at least you get to understand how to structure such a system. So on the far left, you're going to see the user and more or less they interact with the agent through WhatsApp. So when you send a receipt to the agent, we have this hooked up to a Meta. So they have a developer toolkit where you can connect via APIs. And here I set up a smart router. So there's going to be different formats, PDFs, there's going to be images, there's going to be voice notes in the event you need to ask questions about your expenses. And from this, I set up an intelligence engine. And what we do is capture the metadata that we get from Meta, process it in the intelligence engine, and from there, that's when we get to store it in a database. So in the event you want to ask, how much did I spend last December? We can always have this data readily available for you. Next up is going to be a bit exciting because I want to majorly focus on insights and reports. So for this to be a proper financial assistant, you'd expect at the end of the week, it's more or less going to break down your expenses. It's going to tell you you've spent X amount in transport, Y amount in food. And this is more or less the personalization aspect of this so that it feels personal to you and acts as an assistant. So stay tuned for the next episode.